All right. So this is a podcast by the Wisdom Factory Literary Society. And for making his debut, we have with us Parker Danks.
How's it going, y'all? Welcome to Word of the Day.
Word of the Day. Word of the day. Well, we will give you guys the word of the day.
And we have two words.
Well, first we got to introduce Nick.
Oh, we got to introduce,
our resident expert on the topic today. So he's going to be giving you guys some really valuable information. Nick?
Well, I'm happy to be here, and I definitely know good enough information for this talk to be productive. So.
Well, thank you for joining us. Yeah. So the word of the day is going to be money and corruption. So the first half of this podcast is basically going to be talking about money, why it's important in our lives, because no matter any way that we try to live, money is going to play an integral part in our lives, in our happiness, and living out our dreams and whatever we want to do. And Parker really wanted to talk about this, and I love the idea because I think this is something that's super important for people to explore the concept. Because a lot of time we make money, we try to pursue money, but we need to take the time and philosophize about money. That's something that we need to do. Let's talk about money, guys.
Okay, so in terms of money, when y'all hear the word money, what do you think of immediately? Or what is the definition of money to you? And it could be your own definition. Don't pick out the dictionary definition. I want your own interpretation or definition of what money is to you. And Nick, I think you should start.
Oh, great, I have to.
Or we can skip to Jordan.
So with me, money is basically something that you exchange, a material thing that you exchange. It could be electronic or material thing that you exchange for goods and services. And so you need a certain amount of these things because the material goods that are out there on the market, the material goods that you're going to have access to with this money are going to need different amounts of money. So you got to have it, and but basically that's what it is. I mean, it has value. It has intrinsic value. So anybody, whether it's somebody who you're buying from or whether it's the government, they see your money as having an intrinsic value in and of itself. So it's like the oldest, I think, money that was around, well, it might not be the oldest, it was one of the original, is like gold. You can bring gold anywhere and somebody's gonna give you corn for it or flour for it. So to me, that's all money is. It's something that you need to exchange for the thing that you really need or the thing that you really want.
Absolutely.
All right, well then for me, it would be an item / measurement of value so that you can either acquire or gain something with that item versus trying to barter the system. Like for instance, saying that I want that person's set of shoes, but I just know how to make pizzas. That person is interested in pizza, so then you trade it so I can get the pair of shoes while he gets pizza. But what happens you're in an instance where you want the same thing, however, the shoemaker doesn't want the pizza. He wants a horse, and the horseman wants the pizza. You have to go through an entire process to get it, versus money where it's just an item that's given value, so that you can get those type of items or things or services, whatever it is, no matter what, so that you can continue on with commerce.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Parker, or let's do a thought experiment. I mean, is there anything you can't buy with money? I think money can basically buy you anything.
It can't buy you happiness, which I think is a little bit cliche.
Well, I've never seen anybody, I always hear that, and I will challenge that today, Parker, because I've never seen anybody frown on a jet ski. Okay?
Absolutely.
So you can buy a jet ski, take the jet ski to the lake, ride that thing. You just bought yourself some happiness.
Well, here's my idea of money. I think of money as
maybe not.
This is money to me. Money is tangible or intellectual property that is used and contains value for you to trade for public goods or services, like you said. But in a lot of people's definition, money is a piece of paper that makes your life easier, they say. But ironically, it can also make your life more difficult. Let's just say you become a billionaire tomorrow, Jordan. Well, you're not going to be able to manage all this money alone, right? You're going to need almost like an empire of people.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to need a lot of people, and a lot of people these days, especially these days, are very untrustworthy. You don't know who's trying to steal from you. You don't know who's trying to kill you for your money. You don't know who's trying to hurt your family or go after your family or loved ones. So there can be a bit of paranoia involved with owning a lot of money. Not to say it's not a nice thing. I mean, who doesn't want a private jet or jet ski or you know, a big mansion? But some people don't like the idea of too much money. Some people are like, you know what, just a little house or a little canoe is fine with me, and a basic job.
Just enough to support your family.
Just enough to support, just some food.
Live a good life.
Some people just want to eat and live, and that's it.
And then you have, this is what I also don't understand, and which, you know, I'll come back to later when we talk about corruption. But you'll notice, because we're here at Texas State, I think this is what, Boco's living room. We're recording in Boco's living room. And what I notice when I talk to business majors is they have an insatiable appetite for money. It's almost the exact opposite of what you were talking about, where you're like, look, I just need this amount of money and I'm good. I'm gonna live my life, I'm gonna have fun on this budget. And then you have people that really have no limit to how much they wanna go get. They're like, I'm gonna get $1 million. And you're like, well, what are you gonna do with $1 million? I'm gonna get $2 million. What are you gonna do with $2 million?
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna get $10 million.
The people who are wanting $1 million, they don't just want $1 million, they don't want $2 million. They, even when they reach that goal of obtaining that certain amount that they started off wanting, they will want more.
And here's the interesting thing, Parker.
Even when they become a trillion.
I think at the bottom of that, it sort of counteracts what we are saying money is, because money can also not just be something you exchange for a good or service, but money in itself is a status maker. If you've got money, you've got status.
Absolutely.
If you just hold it. And I think that's what, I could be wrong, you know, but I mean, I have a hunch that when people just want all this money, it's because of status. They just want to let everyone know, hey, look, I kick ass, I can get all this money. Our society sees the almighty dollar as king, and I got the majority of the dollars, therefore, I'm the man.
I think, you know, when we're younger, we look up to people like businessmen or famous entrepreneurs that have a lot of money. We say, okay, that's like the adult version of being popular. That is like having that superiority, like being, it also screams the word power. And it almost seems that sometimes you have to sit in their, be in their shoes and see that, you know, maybe it's not all fun and games. Maybe there's a lot more work involved, which there is. But we all want that idea of just living a luxurious life, and another discussion itself is materialistic possessions, and because in the end you can't leave with your money, you can't be buried, you can't take your money to the afterlife or whatever you believe in.
I mean, you sure can try.
You can't try.
Like
you can be buried with it,
those
but
idiot
that's
Egyptians
so selfish.
That,
you know?
Those idiot Egyptians that have buried themselves with millions and millions of dollars in gold. That it's still there.
People are going to dig it up anyway.
People are going to dig it up.
See,
people will dig that up. So
the way I see how money is for people, business majors, or anybody when it comes to money, it's that there's this theory in finance or investments, and it's called the law of diminishing returns. And what happens in this case is that in the first instance of whatever you buy or sell, you have that satisfaction. You got that dopamine hit for some people, especially business majors or very ambitious people. When they get that satisfaction, they feel good about it, and then they want it again. However, it starts to decrease. And the more you do it, it decreases more and more and more and more, to the point where you're actually not gaining as much satisfaction versus what you're putting into the thing. And that's the way I understand money, is that in this sense, money's great and all, and you could get a lot of happiness out of it, but how long does that last?
Well, what I would say, Nick, is it depends on, and this is why it's important to philosophize about money, because a lot of people get stuck on, look, I need money, and then they actually go out and get it. They do the hardest part, but they don't do what I would say is the most necessary part for their life, for the health of their lives, and that is really truly try to understand what they want to do with the money.
Exactly.
So,
and I think
so real quick, Parker, what I mean by that is there's two types of rich people that I see, and I'm sure there's a lot more, but like, let me just give a brief preview of what I mean here, is that you've got the rich people that are working and slaving 14-hour days. You know, they're all over the stock market. They have all, like you said, managing your money, it's a difficult thing. They're paying off all these people to manage their assets, and they're trying to, work in the market, do research, do this engineering, and they really don't have the time to enjoy their money. And then you have the people that got the money, and they do things like they go on, private plane rides all across the world. They buy exotic animals. They go by islands, and they really do, I would say, have like some of the most fun that you, at least from the outside looking in. You know, they're riding around with supermodels on boats. You know what I mean? They're wearing fancy clothes because they've actually thought about how can this money bring me happiness. And I think that's what people don't do enough of, is think about how can this money bring me happiness. It's not just about how can I get money. That's step one maybe, you know, but it's also the other part's just as important. And like I would say, you don't even need to be rich to do that. You can do that on a college budget, you know.
Well, every single one of us, I think, living on this earth have the ability to become a millionaire. We do have the brains. We all have DNA. We all have a special ingredient in us to think of a really cool idea that thousands of people would like to buy. But we also have this reputation, especially millennials, and what is the one below us, Generation Z? Have this reputation for being lazy. You know, we get so distracted with the money that we do have. You know, we eat out a lot. That's my weakness.
Oh yeah.
We buy Netflix. We spend a lot on traveling. We'd like to spend rather than save, or invest. So I actually kind of want to change the subject real quick and ask either Nick or you, Jordan.
Okay.
How much money do you guys want in your future? Do you want a lot of money? Do you want to be these are multiple questions that can be answered in one.
Now, okay, this is going to change, okay? Because I'm going to put this out there right now, because obviously I'm going to evolve as a person, you know, once I get older and once I really start.
How much money do you guys want to possess in maybe the next 10 to 15 years?
1 million. No, I'm just kidding. I would be happy with, I would say $15 million. You give me $15 million, and I think that the phase of my life where I'm out there wasting all my energy trying to get more money stops, and then I can then breathe and just figure out how to spend that money and have fun with it. You know what I mean? 15 million to me seems like a good amount. I think there's that scientific, there was a research done that said how much money really truly brings you happiness before you start experiencing those diminishing margins of returns. And it was somewhere, I'm not sure, I think it was like 400,000, above 400,000, it's marginal. But I would be happy with 15 million, because I think that there's a lot of things I want to do with my life, Parker. And I think that is really what it comes down to, is like, how much money do you want? For at least someone like me, is like, what can I do? Like, what are all the opportunities? And then how much are all those opportunities going to cost? And then I think right now, it's a good ticket price is $15 million. No more, no less.
You're up, Nick.
Well, this is where it's going to sound very self-centered, but then once I give out my details, it won't sound as self-centered from what it's going to sound like right now. Preferably, I would like $1 billion. Minimum, a few hundred million.
Minimum.
And here's the reason why, okay?
You're going to share that with us, right?
Hold on a minute. No. What I would do with that money, first, I would like to use that as basically a giant piggy bank in the case that something goes wrong, not with just me, but my loved ones or close family members, basically for future generations, and use at least a portion of that money as capital so that this can keep on going, hopefully to the point where my future generations, they're going to be able to do whatever they want to the fullest, and that they can be productive to society and won't have to have that much of an issue. That way they won't have to be in debt.
Yeah.
And that they have free range to do whatever they desire so that they can be truly happy.
They can speed down the highway and be like, all right, how much you want, officer?
No. For that,
how much, same question to you, Parker. How much money are you trying to, can you top that?
Okay, so I'm not going to top that, but before I go into that discussion of how much money I really want to possess, I want to go back to my childhood, because when I was a kid, and I think when we were all kids, but for me, I used to want the Lamborghini, right? I wanted the big mansion. I wanted my own private island. But when you get older, you get a little bit more realistic. And so I did grow up in a really nice house. My dad had a really great job. I grew up going to nice restaurants. And what I noticed about a big house is it's not ideal. It's really overwhelming, especially with all that cleaning. I mean, I'm not a slob, but my room can be kind of dirty sometimes.
Yeah.
I think the idea for me is just a small, nice house. Like a nice 1-story, 2-story maybe house that's just a little smaller but nice. So the whole mansion phase, that left. Lamborghini is not really a good investment either, because the value deteriorates once you buy it, because it's such a luxurious car that the insurance is so
Yeah,
bad on
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So I think those have switched. And so I guess I used to want to be a billionaire when I was a kid, but now I think right now the number I'm going with is 26 million because that's my number. 26 has always been my number. I was born on the 26th. It's my lucky number.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to use my lucky number and I want that amount of money. Now 100 million would be cool too, but I feel like at times I can be somewhat of a hypochondriac. So if I had so much money, like $1 billion, I would definitely be paranoid. There might be friendships I would cut off that I would not want to cut off because I'm scared everyone is after to get me. And
That's if they know you have.
that's if they know. And
hard to keep that.
that's how you know. But
and how you
Just
hide
wear
it.
regular people's clothes.
but with 26 million, that is enough for me to start my own charitable organization because what I'd like to do, as far as we all like our own charity, you guys are good guys, I know. My charity would definitely be for hungry kids. I'm all about food. I love food. I work at a restaurant. I would love to make sure that kids all around the world are getting fed. So I would like to take a good chunk of that money and make sure kids are taken care of around the world. And then my family is also a big concern. I want to make sure everybody's taken care of and maybe a little bit spoiled. And because all that, the 26 million is not just going to me. I'm trying to think of other people and other properties in the world and different charities, not just that one. There's so many charities I would donate to. I might even do something crazy as donate a certain amount of money to each state in the U.S. That way,
Pay off the debt.
yeah, that way it's kind of like being like anytime I go to any state in the U.S., I can be like, hey, I've paid my respects to this place.
To me,
But I think in the end, 26 million is my set because in the end, what I want to do luxuriously is I want to go out to really nice restaurants and I want to travel the world first class. Yeah. That's the most luxurious thing. I don't need the Lamborghini anymore. I don't need, a bag full of gold. I just want to travel first class and I want to stay at, I guess, a decent hotel and I want to scuba dive and all over the world.
To me, it's not about the material things. Like I understand, as much as I would love to go to Montenegro or go to a Grand Prix in Monte Carlo or something like that, at the end of the day, those are moments that you have, and those moments are gone and they become memories. What I'm interested in with money, and the reason why I couldn't give a real good calculation, is because I come from a working class background, and I see how your parents have to work and they have to do things that they don't like doing, like physical labor, or even if you're a professional, you have to do mental labor. You have to listen to a boss tell you what to do for 8 hours a day, and then you have to drive home in the traffic, and it's hot and it's muggy, and you have to do this every single day, at least 5 days out of the week. And a lot of people do this from the time they're 18 or the time that they're 21 or the time that they're 24 all the way until they hit retirement. And what I'm trying to do is have the money to where I can pay for getting my life back. Does that make sense? Like I call it financial independence. Like I don't want to be a slave to somebody working for them, because everyone has a finite amount of hours. You know what I mean? We only have a certain amount of hours on this world, and I feel claustrophobic when I have to spend that time doing what other people want me to do and not doing what I want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you
kind of don't even want like a real job in the world because you don't want to work for the man. You want to work for Jordan.
I want financial independence so I can live creatively and express myself however I want to, and I don't have to worry about clocking in.
I think a lot of us have this fantasy of having the money to where every single day we can do anything we want. Like if we want to get up and fly to Cancun, we can. If we want to go eat at the most expensive steakhouse in Austin, we can. If we want to have a party tomorrow with thousands of people, we can. If it's just the idea of we want to live every day to its last, but when we have these jobs, none of us want to work, right? So we have to go to these jobs and we have to put in 9 to 12 hours and we have to work for the man. And
exactly. It's just you don't want to work for someone else.
And it's and then when you're at these jobs, you feel like you're wasting it. I mean, I definitely do. I mean, I love my job where I work now, but if I definitely had the money, I would for sure quit. And
right.
And then I do what Parker wants to do, but we all have to work. We all have to. We all need that 401k plan, or we need retirement. We are too paranoid about just dropping everything. But a lot of people have the bravery to do it, and some people make a very nice financial future out of it. I think that's the plan for.
I think this is a perfect transition to then go into the next thing that we were going to talk about, because all three of us, even me, I'm the lowest one at 15 million. So we're ambitious people. We're not those people that you talked about earlier who just kind of want, a $200,000 a year kind of lifestyle where you have your family, middle class. I don't think that none of us want that. We would be in the top, I think, 5% with all of the money that we wanted. So obviously we have to get that money. That's step one. We can't avoid that. No one's going to come to us one day and say, "Oh yeah, here's $1 billion. I like your hat." You know, no one's going to do that. We have to earn it, and that sort of creates ethical challenges. Because in a capitalistic society, there are going to be winners, there are going to be losers, and greed is the number one indicator of personal wealth is the ability to be greedy and the ability to say, you know what, I need this money. I heard, you guys know who Grant Cardone is? He's this really famous, you know who Grant is?
Grant?
Grant Cardone.
Which one's Grant Cardone?
He's this really, really famous real estate investor. And he was telling me, he's like, you know, he's one of those people where it's no BS. It's all about getting the money. You know, he coaches young people on how to be young millionaires and all of this stuff. And he will tell you straight up, he's like, look, I was at a point in my life where when I was young, where I had a vision, I had a dream. I was gonna be a millionaire by the time I was 35. And I knew what it took to get there. And I had to make sacrifices. He said he remembers having $50,000 in his bank and his mom calling him saying that she was having financial trouble and she needed $5,000 for this. And and he talked to her and he said, look, I can't give this to you. You know, I love you and everything that you've done for me, but I've got a plan and I'm not gonna sacrifice it for nobody or anything. And he's telling his mom, and he's telling everybody this. He's like, you gotta have that mentality. Nothing can knock you off of the momentum that you have building up into that bank. And he's saying that type of discipline, that type of greed is what allowed him to save every penny, to think of the world as just a game where it's about bringing the money in and limiting the money that's going out. And so obviously it's kind of an extreme example, but he wasn't playing. Like, he was serious. He's like, that's what you got to do if you want to be rich. And I see that with a lot of rich people. There are choices that you have to make. There are ethical choices that you have to make, which brings us to the topic, which is corruption. Do you guys think it's possible to become wealthy without becoming a little bit corrupt in the process?
Extremely difficult. Extremely difficult, and it depends on what kind of game we're playing, so to speak. Depends on what kind of industry as well, or who you talk to, because depending on that case, it could get far more difficult than what we could possibly imagine.
Yeah, because I can think of politicians. You know, politicians, they don't make a lot of money. You know, they're lawyers. Most of them are lawyers. And then, you know, when they go into politics, you know, you look at something like AOC, they're bartending, or, you know, they're middle class people, but somehow when they get into Congress, if they've been there for about 5 years, then they're millionaires, you know, and you know that's because of lobbyists are you know, padding their bank accounts.
Just the paycheck, even though the paycheck itself is also substantial.
And on the outside looking at that, you're like, oh, that's terrible. How could they do that? How could they sell